The history of black invention in America is a narrative of profound brilliance that is set against a backdrop of systemic exclusion. While many iconic American products are attributed to famous names, a significant number of these innovations were conceived by black individuals who were legally or socially barred from claiming their intellectual property. Black inventions that were stolen, things that black people invented that you never knew they invented. Let's dive in, listen to it.
Before machines helped on farms, corn had to be taken off the cob by hand. This took a long time and made farm work very hard. But that changed when a foundational black American woman invented a machine that could husk and shell corn at the same time. She was the first black woman to ever receive a United States patent, and her name was Martha Jones. Before we had food trays, keeping food warm took a lot of effort. This made serving food slow. That changed when a foundational black American woman invented a machine that keeps food warm using steam. She was also one of the first black women to receive a U.S. patent. Her name was Mary Jones. Before portable refrigeration, the only way to transport food over long distances was by using salt or by curing it. That all changed when a foundational black American invented portable refrigeration. This revolutionized the food industry all across America, and his name was Frederick Jones. If you want to teach your family about our history without being boring, I did the research for you. Click the link below and check out my
The light bulb, the telephone, toilets on a train, air conditioning. He was into everything. This is the amazing story of Lewis Latimer. Lewis was a self-taught inventor and engineer who helped shape history. This is a wild ride, so buckle up. Lewis Latimer was born in Massachusetts in 1848, but his father George was formerly enslaved in the state of Virginia and had escaped to Massachusetts to get his freedom. But soon after getting there, he was caught and locked up and went to trial. Can you guess who defended him? Frederick Douglass and William Lloyd Garrison. He earned his freedom. And due to the Dred Scott decision, at age 10, Lewis's father left home to protect his family since he had no formal emancipation papers. Here we go. In 1874, he received a patent for a new and improved type of toilets for trains. In 1876, he's the one who drew the physical diagram of the telephone on Alexander Graham Bell's patent. And in 1881, he patented the carbon filament attachment for light bulbs, so that it could light up. We're just getting started. In 1882, he patented a process for a new and improved filament for light bulbs, making them longer lasting. In 1884, he went to work for Thomas Edison, and in 1886, he created a precursor to air conditioning. In 1894, he patented an elevator safety device that kept riders from falling down the elevator shaft. In 1896, he received a patent for a locking hat and coat rack. In 1905, he received a patent for a book support mechanism. Woo! In 1910, he received a patent for a new type of light fixture that he created. He was a highly sought-after expert witness in electrical lighting cases, and he was a patent consultant to many law firms. He was an author, a poet, an inventor, a draftsman, a teacher, a genius, and he passed away at the age of 80 peacefully. I want to say thank you to those of you who have helped support me on my journey across America to share these amazing Black American history stories. But if you would like to support me going forward, I've got a GoFundMe link in the bio, and I've thrown my Cash App up for a few seconds, and I absolutely appreciate it. Just remember, Black history is American history, and I'll see you on the...
Nearly every person on Earth has been impacted by a Black inventor most people have never heard of. His name is Frederick McKinley Jones. Jones was a self-taught engineer. He was born in 1893 and he grew up poor with little formal schooling. But his mind, it changed the world. In 1938, he invented the first successful mobile refrigeration system for trucks. Before his invention, transporting fresh food over long distances was nearly impossible. Meat spoiled, produce rotted, medicine degraded, blood supplies couldn't travel far. But Jones, he solved all that. His refrigeration units allowed food, medicine, vaccines, and blood to be safely transported across cities, countries, and continents. That one breakthrough, it became the foundation of the modern cold chain system. And that means that if you've ever eaten refrigerated food, If you've ever received life-saving medicine, if a hospital has stored blood, if a vaccine reached your community, you have benefited from Frederick McKinley Jones. His technology, it reshaped grocery supply chains, military logistics, global agriculture, pharmaceutical distribution. It reshaped emergency medicine. Jones, well, he went on to hold more than 60 patents, and most of them are related to refrigeration and mechanical engineering. And he co-founded Thermo King. It's a company that still dominates refrigeration transport today. Yet while his invention generates billions globally, his name isn't taught, it's not celebrated, and it's not centered. Because history oftentimes separates Black genius from world-changing impact. Frederick McKinley Jones. He didn't just improve transportation. He made modern life possible. And if you didn't know, now you know.
A Nigerian doctor changed the world of medicine with just $120. Here's how his invention is saving lives. In 1989, retired Army medical doctor Colonel Ovuyema Ovaje saw a life-threatening problem. Blood transfusions were expensive, complicated, and often unavailable in sub-Saharan Africa. With very limited resources, he invented the Emergency Auto Transfusion System, or the EAT set. A game-changing device that made blood transfusions cheaper, faster, and accessible, even in places with no electricity. By 1994, after only 5 years of research in Lagos, he perfected the device, focusing on reusing a patient's own blood instead of relying solely on blood donors. His invention has saved countless lives and earned awards from the African Union, World Intellectual Property Organization, and more. Yet there are still so many who don't know his name or his story. So let's change that by sharing his story. And be sure to follow us to stay connected to all things Africa.
All right, racists, let's talk about the part of history you like to tout the most, Black inventions. And along with those inventions comes the receipts. Racist America has pretended for far too long that Black people haven't created or invented most things, if not every single thing we use daily. They like to pretend that the toolbox of life just appeared out of nowhere, or that it was gifted by some default white guy. Then they act shocked every single time a Black Indigenous American shows up in the patent record. This pattern in history of gaslighting and erasure ends now. So why don't we break the spell with a hit list of under-referenced Black American inventors, whose work you touch, hear, and rely on every single day, whether you say their names or not. This is what I call the not-so-familiar list. James E. West co-invented the electric microphone in 1962. That tiny capsule in smartphones, laptops, hearing aids, and almost every modern mic, brought to you by a Black man, James West. George Edward Alcorn Jr. built the imaging X-ray spectrometer in 1984 that sharpened space and materials research. NASA named him Inventor of the Year. Translation, he built the instruments that actually see what the naked eye can't. Black brilliance. Meredith Gourdine pioneered electro-gas dynamics, devices like incinerate cut smoke and industrial pollution. He engineered the actual physics. David N. Crosswaite Jr., architect of modern HVAC controls for big buildings. He has 39 U.S. patents, some of which include heating systems for Radio City Music Hall as well as Rockefeller Center. So when you visit these places, your climate comfort is running on David's math. Walter Lincoln Hawkins created durable polymer cable sheathing so telephone lines could survive the sun and harsh weather. Otis Boykin designed precision resistors that stabilized consumer electronics and pacemaker controls. George Carruthers invented the far ultraviolet camera / spectrograph used on Apollo 16 to image Earth's atmosphere and interstellar space. When science looked farther, it used George's instrument. Jerry Lawson led the team behind the interchangeable video game cartridge, the truest pioneer to console gaming. Jesse Russell was the key architect of digital cellular systems and base station tech. He laid the groundwork for the networks that your phone lives on. Marion Croak is the holder of 200 plus patents in voice over IP and internet call tech. So as far as internet calling as a service, she operationalized the pipeline. Valerie Thomas, the pioneer behind the Illusion Transmitter 3D image tech at NASA. Bessie Blount Griffin inventor of the self-feeding device used for amputees and a disposable emesis basin. It's a clinical design that restored autonomy to its users in this country. Then it spread internationally. Alice H. Parker created the 1919 patent for a gas-fired centrally zoned heating furnace. She also planted the seed ideas for modern home heating segmentation. Miriam E. Benjamin, in 1888, created the gong and signal chair, a call button system predating hotel service alerts. The start of push to summon was formulated by her genius. Andrew J. Beard invented the Jenny coupler in 1897, which is an automated, dangerous link and pin rail coupling. His work improved freight efficiency and worker safety. Philip B. Downing created the street letterbox in 1891 with a weather shielding door for mail drop-off. Yes, a black man created the mailbox. John Stannard. In 1891, he invented the non-electric refrigerator and compact oil stove, the pioneer of non-electric appliances. Richard B. Spikes. He iterated the automatic gear shift and most automotive safety systems. Lloyd Hall. He advanced food preservation, using safer curing salts, using spice sterilization, and antioxidants. He created the industry-level shelf life. So what was the point to all of this? Reality reads like this list. Black Americans were already here, already building, and already creating everything. Designing the microphones inside your phone, the networks under your texts, the heat in your building, the optics in your space science, the cartridges that built an entire gaming industry, the clinical tools that dignify autonomous care, and the dull metal boxes swallowing your mail on the corner. Erasing the creativity and the genius of the original people isn't accidental. It's an act of violence. You can keep pretending you invented everything, sure. Or you can look around, call things what they are, and stop living on lies. Pretending to be superior in technology and a spiritual power you can't even use. The entire world can see the limitations of racists. The big question is, however, why?
I've seen a couple of comments in my comment section or in other people's comment section talking about how black people did not invent anything. Excuse me. First of all, I'd like to start the list by saying there was a black South African teenage boy that invented a system to channel water to the rural areas in South Africa to supply water for them. The boy fell off a building and now the idea is now owned by a white man. And this is not the first time something like this is happening. So let me start the list. Starting strong, Valerie Thomas. She invented 3D. The 3D that you know today that is used in animated movies and other stuff. She worked with NASA and she invented 3D. 2. Dr. Joseph Jackson invented the remote control. That's where you can sit down with your big back from the chair, eating chips and pressing remote from where you're sitting. Talking about black people didn't invent anything. Thomas Martin invented the fire extinguisher. We can't overemphasize the importance of fire extinguishers to the human race. Lydia Newman invented the hairbrush. If not, all of you would have been looking crazy up and down by now. George T. Thompson invented the clothes dryer. Yes, the clothes dryer you know, for laundry. Garrett Morgan invented the gas mask and traffic lights. You guys would have been entering each other's head on the road. Do you know the amount of lives that has been saved so far because of the invention of traffic lights? Before traffic light, do you know how accidents, even countries that were not interested had to bring it? Because I don't want to be hearing it. It's always so heartbreaking when I see stuff like that, and it's usually from our own people talking about black people didn't invent anything. Even on my live, the last live I did, somebody said it, that black people did not invent anything. Most of the things you know are invented by black people. Just because they get and somebody takes the idea doesn't mean they're not the ones that brought it up. Sanitary pad. It was a black lady that invented it. And when she brought the idea forward, they rejected it until she died. I don't know how she died. Then a white man took the idea of sanitary pad.
If you're really going to be a racist, then you should be a true racist and not use anything or be involved with anything that was invented or created by blacks. Do you want a list? The ironing board, the refrigerator, the baby carriage.
You can add dry cleaning to that list. Thomas L. Jennings invented dry cleaning in the early 1800s and was the first African-American patent holder in the United States. This guy was a badass, and there are no photos of him, so you're stuck with my ugly mug. Basically, he was a tailor based in New York City who started experimenting with waterless cleaning solvents because his customers were often frustrated with stains. Through his tinkering, an early version of dry cleaning known as dry scouring was invented, leading to his patent in 1821. He wasn't done yet. After a successful career, he shifted his focus to abolitionism and African-American civil rights. All of this work culminated in 1831 when he was appointed as the Assistant Secretary to the first annual Convention of the People of Color in Philadelphia. Flash forward to modern day, and dry cleaning continues to be owned by minorities and immigrants and are frequently small family-owned businesses, which I believe is the backbone of America.
Alright, racists. Did you know that the first Western saddle was invented by a black American man? William D. Davis was born on May 9, 1853 in Herkimer County, New York. In his younger years, he assisted his father in the cattle business in Colorado. He then went on to own and operate.
Know who the Moors are? Every black person should know who the Moors are. The Moors were a group of black people from Africa that ruled in Europe for some 700 years. They were the kings and the queens. So Europe, a certain part of it, Portugal and Spain, was ruled by black people. We were the kings, we were the queens, the dukes and the earls and all the other kind of stuff. They buried that in history so that you don't
in
know.
Colorado. He then went on to own and operate a mill out of Leavenworth, Kansas. He also served as postmaster for 16 years. William Davis was one of the most popular stock growers in his community, in fact being one of the largest buyers and shippers of cattle in northeastern Kansas. While serving as a Buffalo Soldier, William invented a usable model of the saddle on October 6, 1896. William Davis, along with 5,000 men, served in the all-black 9th and 10th Cavalry that guarded the western frontier in the last quarter of the 19th century. They were tasked with making a 600-mile-long expedition to drive the Cree Indian tribe out of their settlements for deportation to Canada. Notice how the Crees were in settlements? Indigenous people don't live in settlements. Only settlers who have colonized. Removing the colonizers and pretendians was a job of the Buffalo Soldiers. Since black American soldiers were given the roughest stock, Davis had the idea of inventing a saddle to make the ride more comfortable for hard-trotting horses. The saddle contained more durable springs under the seat and at the top of the stirrups. His invention made riding easier for cavalry, cowboys, and mail riders. This is just further proof that not only were black Americans here first, but they're the actual cowboys and the Indians. I imagine that the first people to touch horses on this land would by default be the first to invent the saddle. All the Europeans love to claim that the Siberians were first, yet they clearly weren't the first to be riding horses in the 1800s. And now this will archive yet another failed attempt at the destiny swap. If you all were here first, did you just sit around with nothing until black Americans showed up? Because it's clear, black Americans invented everything.
Many of the Europeans would imitate the Moors, and they had set a party forth, was known as the Whigamore Party. And this is where Europeans would wear the curly wigs that they do even today in England to imitate the Moors who actually brought them civilization.
Africa isn't underdeveloped, it's overexploited. So the idea that Africans have never invented anything is simply white supremacy. So here are a list of inventions that come from Africa. Ancient Egypt, they got the first surgical tools, surgical instruments like the scalpels, forceps, and the sutures. Writing system, 3200 BC. We have both the hieroglyphics from Egypt and the Meteoritic script from Nubia. First university over in Timbuktu, Mali, 12th century. Over 25,000 students studied astronomy, mathematics, and law here, with a librarian who wrote 700 books by hand. First mathematics system, ancient Egypt, 2000 BC. The Rhine mathematical papyrus featured algebra, geometry, and fractions. By the way, these were used to build the pyramids, so unfortunately it was not the aliens. Africans just got the sauce like that. First iron smelting, the Nok culture of Nigeria, 500 BC. Iron tools revolutionized agriculture and warfare centuries before Europe's Iron Age. First cataract surgery. Yeet. First star maps by the Dogon people of Mali had cosmology that predated Western telescopes by centuries. First antibiotic, Nubia, 300 CE. The invention was tetracycline in Nubian beer. First solar calendar over in Egypt, 5000 BCE, the Nabta Playa, the world's earliest astronomical calendar older than Stonehenge. It predicted monsoons and guided agriculture in the Sahara. It wasn't just iron, advanced metallurgy of the Haya people of Tanzania developed preheating techniques for steel production. Their furnaces reached temperatures of 1800 Celsius, centuries before the Bessemer process in Europe. Urban plumbing in ancient Zimbabwe 1100 CE, the kingdom of Mapambumbwe already had engineered drainage systems that predated Roman aqueduct. Neurosurgical trepanation, yee! Special shout out to the first board game, Sonnet, played in ancient Egypt. You could actually still play this game today. You can literally buy it over on Amazon. Last but not least, ancient Egypt had the world's first Karen. The world's first complaint. I'm tired of doing business with you. You have been the worst merchant I have dealt with. I'll tell all my friends not to purchase ware from you anymore. When it comes to SaaS, I guess it's confirmed.
For much of American history, the law has designed to prevent black people from owning their ideas. You see, this is what I call the legal barrier, slavery and the patent law. Now, in the 1855 patent ruling, this is an initiative that was started to help combat the stealing of black inventions. So, before the Civil War, the US Attorney General ruled that because enslaved people were not citizens, they could not enter into contracts with the government. Therefore, they could not hold patents. This is a white person saying that black people who they took from Africa are not citizens. But he himself is clearly white, and America was not a land of white people's origin. All white people come from Europe. That is where they all came from. So the original inhabitants of America were the Red Indians. The Native Americans were the Red Indians, right? So if there is anyone who is not a citizen, is everyone else apart from the Red Indians. It was wrong for them to say that black people cannot hold contracts because they are not citizens. Another thing is the master property doctrine. Any invention created by an enslaved person was legally considered the property of their owner. Imagine someone calling you their, their owner, you see, or your owner. After working, you're going back to your owner. You are a property. So any invention created by an enslaved person was legally considered the property of their owner. This created a massive dark archive of technology where the true creator's name was replaced by the person who enslaved them. Even if they were dunderhead, even if they were fools, they were number last in class, they would still have your invention as a genius. A good example is the cotton gin. While Eli Whitney is credited with the cotton gin, historical accounts and oral tradition suggest that enslaved people on the plantation where he worked contributed the essential design elements. Whitney, who had struggled with the mechanics, reportedly took the concept of the comb and the teeth from the tools used by workers to separate seeds manually. So Eli Whitney is someone who stole black invention and called it his. I don't know whether it's a man or a woman, his or hers. Doesn't matter now. Second is the era of patent thievery. After the Civil War, even as black inventors gained the right to file patents, social and economic barriers led to widespread theft of their work. A good example is the real McCoy versus the imitations. Elijah McCoy invented an automatic lubricator for steam engines. It was so superior to the competition that engineers began asking for the real McCoy to ensure they were not getting a cheap knockoff. However, because inventors often lacked the capital to manufacture their own goods, they frequently were forced to sell their patent rights to white businesses for a fraction of their value, who then marketed the products under their own names. We have the light bulb and Lewis Latimer. While Thomas Edison is synonymous with the light bulb, his original paper filament lasted only a few hours. You see? Lewis Latimer, a black inventor and draftsman, developed and patented the carbon filament, which allowed the light bulb to burn for much longer and made electric lighting affordable for the public. Latimer's name is often a footnote, while Edison remains in the face of the invention. This same Thomas Edison had a problem with a fellow white man who was called Nikola Tesla, if you know the story. Another thing is we had systemic silencing. You see, the lost inventions. Many inventions were simply absorbed, were absorbed into companies or credited to supervisors. Frederick McKinley Jones, he invented the mobile refrigeration unit, the Thermo King, which revolutionized the global food industry and saved countless lives by allowing the transport of blood and medicine during the World War II. Despite his hundreds of patents, he is rarely mentioned in standard American history textbooks alongside figures like Henry Ford. Second, we have Alice Packer. She designed the first central heating system using natural gas in 1919. Her design was the precursor to modern HVAC system. Yet, for decades, the credit for the modern heating was given to the corporations that iterated on her original patent. You see? But why was this history erased? That's a big question. The silencing of black inventions and inventors served a specific social purpose. It was the myth of intellectual inferiority. You see, the propaganda was this. By stripping black people of their status as creators, the prevailing social order could argue that they were only suited for manual labor. We also had the economic disenfranchisement argument, you know. It stated that denying patent credit meant denying generational wealth. The billions of dollars generated by these inventions flowed into white families and corporations, contributing to the modern racial wealth gap. This is very sad, you see. So we have, there's something here I want us to look at, the comparison of popular versus hidden credit, you see. The invention, the light bulb, or the carbon filament. The popular person who is credited with the light bulb is Thomas Edison. The true contributor, the pioneer, is a black person by the name Lewis Latimer. Another invention is the automatic gear shift. The gear in this car was built by a black person. But the person who is popularly credited to it is a company in America known as General Motors. The black American behind the automatic gear shift is Richard Spikes. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Many people can learn to drive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, thank you. Many people are able to drive through you. We also had the home security system, popularly credited to generic security firms, which is American firm, right? And the black person behind it was Mary Van Britten Brown. You see? We also have the dry cleaning. The white entrepreneurs are credited to it, the dry cleaner thing. But the true inventor is Thomas L. Jennings, right? Another invention is the comb cotton gin. The person who is credited to it is Eli Whitney, a white person. The true contributor and the pioneer of the cotton gin were the enslaved workers. They are the true pioneers, you see? Now, understanding this history isn't just about setting the record straight. It is about acknowledging that American industrial dominance was built on a foundation of black intellectual labor that was systemically hidden. They stole our work and made it theirs. They had their own reasons for doing that, but greed was the number one reason for it. And they were afraid of losing the face of their superiority for under black people. Yes. Share your thoughts on the comment section. I'd really love to know what you perceive of all these. And see you in the next one. Stay positive.